En gång till.
Hello, everybody. So, thank you for coming here. We have a little bit technical problems in this beginning. I'm taking this off.
There you have.
Yeah. Okay. We had so many my voices here, but hello again. And welcome to the panel discussion about Arctic Indigenous films and filmmaking. And my name is Liisa Holmberg, and I'm working as a film commissioner in the International Sami Film Institute, and I'm working also for the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund. We have here in the Zoom studio today 4 indigenous, at the moment 3, but I hope the 4th one is coming. He's rowing from the Greenland and she will be soon here. 4 indigenous film women, different part of the Arctic area. And we are going to talk about films, we are going to talk about magic of the storytelling and about the films again, and then we are talking about the miracle of collaboration, and then you are telling a little bit about your films and the future plans, and then we are talking about Arctic Indigenous Film Fund. You all are in our slate, so you are going to get funding, and not only funding, but the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund is giving money, but it's giving network, it's giving connections, it's giving festivals, it's giving all the fun and love in the world. So welcome. So I want you to introduce yourself. Where are you and who are you? And I'm asking you, Anne-Laila Utsi, to start.
Muted.
Anne-Laila, you are muted.
Such a classic Zoom mistake. Anyways, I'm Anne-Laila Utsi, and I'm director of the International Sami Film Institute, and we are based in Gårdøygeitno, up in the northern part of Sápmi in Norway. And yeah, so.
Thank you. And then we are going to the other part of the world, Sardana. Where are you? Who are you?
Hello girls. Here I am, Sardana. I'm from Yakutsk, which is northeastern part of Russia. So right now I'm at home trying to recover after COVID. So I'm coughing. Right now I feel not so good, but I stayed alive, so I'm happy. And right now I'm writing some thesis on Sakha filmmaking, which I should defend next week. So I'm a bit busy. Well, I'm ready to join to talks about indigenous storytelling. So, and if there are some questions, I'm ready to answer. Nice to meet you all, girls. Alicia, Naila, Anne-Laila, Lisa.
Welcome, Sardana. What is the time in your country now?
It's 8 p.m. right now. It's 18th or 17th. Is it 17th of June? Yes, 8 p.m.
Okay. Okay, then we are going to the other side. We are going to Nunavut. Naila, welcome.
Thank you. I'm actually in Toronto. You'll be able to tell from all the construction noise that you'll be hearing. So it's 7 a.m. here for Alethea as well, who's up in Nunavut. So a little earlier, but very happy to be here. I myself am a bit of a professional nerd, I guess. I make interactive stuff like augmented reality content, and I write comic books, and I just finished directing a movie that Alethea produced called Slashback. It's an alien invasion movie set up in the Arctic.
Okay, thank you. And then we have Alethea, you are in Nunavut.
Yes, yeah, I'm in Iqaluit right now, where I'm from, and I'm a filmmaker, largely documentary until the more recent years. I've gotten kind of pulled into scripted content in the last few years, so producing on feature films like The Grizzlies, and I was one of many producers on Nyla's film, which I can't wait for everyone to see. And I'm now writing with my colleague and business partner Stacey Outlook McDonald. She and I are trying to make a TV show. We'll see if it ever happens.
It is very interesting. Thank you. So, and there will be Pipaluk Jørgensen from Greenland, but Pipaluk, there must be some technical delays. I hope Pipaluk will come during this discussion back to our studio. So let's start. You all happen to be women, Indigenous women filmmakers all around the world. It's very interesting phenomena that in the Indigenous world, film world, we are more women filmmakers than men, at the moment at least, and then we will see how it's going to develop. So Anna-Laila Utsi, we start from the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund. You are managing director for the International Sami Film Institute. Oh, there is Pipaluk. Hello, Pipaluk, welcome. Hello. So, hello, Pipaluk, welcome. You can't hear us. I'm so sorry. Okay, you will find the technical problems. So we are starting with Anna-Laila. So ESFE, you have been being managing director of International Sami Film Institute, and we have been producing during that time about 80 films, which
I can't hear anything.
Okay, we can hear you, Pipaluk. Maybe you go back and come back. Maybe you can get in. So almost 80 films we have been producing during this 10 years, and it's a very big amount of Sami films. And 2018, we were launching this Arctic Indigenous Film Fund to support Indigenous filmmakers all around the Arctic. So tell us why it is important, this Arctic Indigenous Film Fund.
Yes, so well, just to start from the Sami perspective and the work we have been doing here in Sápmi now for 12 years since the Sami Film Institute was established. And we saw in the beginning when we started that there is so much interesting work already being done by so many incredible Indigenous filmmakers all around the world. And so when we started in 2009, that was a really inspiring fact for us, and we really wanted to connect with everybody in the in the Indigenous film community, and have been working very closely with all of you and so many other incredible filmmakers, and and in these 10 years, in the Sami film community, with the funding we have available here in the Sami Film Institute, it has been really like nourishing a new generation of Sami filmmakers. And I think that wouldn't have been possible without this indigenous film family that we have, and the inspiration, and also the incredible all the collaborations that has been in these years. So it has really been strengthening our film community here in Sápmi to grow and become stronger. And that was maybe the reason behind the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund, is that, so instead of always thinking about North, because we are all based in the Arctic, so instead of thinking North-South perspective and North-South collaborations, for us it seemed so much more interesting and inspiring to think in the circumpolar Arctic perspective, because we have so much of the common history and the background and the challenges. So that was one of the ideas behind the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund. And then we got incredible partners to join, like Sundance Film Institute and Bird Running Water, who is the head of Indigenous department there, and Canada Media Fund, and Valerie Creighton, the president there, and also Saha Film in Yakutia, and Nunavut Film Development Corporation, and Film GL, Greenlandic Film Association. So it's a really strong initiative with many amazing partners. So, and everyone is looking to the Arctic now and really interested in the, in the industrial development, and we feel that it's really important in this situation that we indigenous peoples of the Arctic, that we have a voice in this development, and that our stories are told, especially in this time and in the future. So it's both the stories that can impact the world, and the possibilities of our stories to build a future and build a work for our young people in our home areas. I think it's amazing. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna-Laila, and you all. Now we have people who hear. Can you hear us? And maybe you can come to the discussion direct and tell where are you and how long were you rowing from the Greenland to our Zoom room. So.
Hi everyone, nice to see you. Yeah, I'm just coming in because my kid didn't want to go to kindergarten and just like mom life. But I'm just like really glad that we could have this discussion, and it's something that we have been working for a long time, and here from Greenland we have really supported it. And if I just have to introduce myself, my name is Pipaluk and I'm a producer and director. And the last 5 years or 6 years, I have been a part of the Film Association in Greenland as a chair woman, and was the one who was building the work with you with the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund. So, and now I'm independent filmmaker, and collaboration with Alethea, who is in the panel now, and of course with all of you. I just see it as one big collaboration, because we need these talks and to just go along to make greater works and have like some kind of connection in the storytelling as well. For my latest film, I have been in collaboration with Imaginative, which is one of the great partners that like we in Greenland have been working a lot with, and and develop my script with them. And it's because of this connection of ours, because we met in Berlin as well with you, and talk through these like intensive things that we need to be doing in this time. So I think, yeah, Imaginator have definitely been a point where it's something where we meet as well. I'm saying too much, but what was the question?
No, I wasn't in the questions yet. You you have just introducing yourself, but you are the strong lady of the Greenland. But you are all over the places. You are in Nunavut. You have been working with us in the Samiland. You are working in the in Toronto, in Hollywood, in Iceland, in everywhere. You are big, big person there. So I'm coming to the questions soon, but Alethea, could you please tell about yourself? Your film Angry Inuk was very, very, it made a huge impact to the world. We here in Europe, when European Union was doing the seal ban, and then you made a film about it. It was a very great film, and then the seal ban went away. Tell about.
Well, thank you. The seal ban didn't actually go away, though. Just to make it clear that there is an exemption for Inuit, so we're technically allowed to sell sealskin in the European Union now, but the ban is still in place overall, and it still really affects the prices of sealskins here. So it's not quite a full win yet. But I felt like I needed to make that film because, growing up here in Nunavut and eating seal meat growing up and still today, it's just a huge part of life here. And just year after year, seeing those campaigns against seal hunting, seeing them on TV growing up and in newspapers. And then, as I got older and social media came into existence, suddenly those faraway anti-seal hunt campaigns became very close to me. Seeing people online say things directly to me, to my family, to my friends. It just became this situation where I felt like I had to make this film because I got so tired of repeating myself and saying, well, actually, we do eat the meat. And actually, most seal hunters are Inuit, not white men in the south of Canada. And so I just wanted to put everything I ever wanted to say to anybody into that film. So I can just say, watch this, instead of having to explain and defend ourselves and our culture over and over again. And I never ever expected, I expected it to be really difficult to get people to watch it. But the film's done really well, particularly in Canada. It did well internationally as well, but I feel like it has made a difference within Canada, just in terms of how much non-Inuit people know about seal hunting and the stigma around wearing sealskin. It's still there, but it's not as strong anymore. And we have so many more allies and friends of Inuit that understand and support our sealskin economy and us eating seal meat. So this is my son Dauki, who interrupts everything I do. I understand you people. Look, when you say your kids make everything delayed, I was also a minute late. So that, I think that film did make some positive change. And it definitely changed my career and opened up a lot of doors for me to do more work, to meet other people, to meet so many more Indigenous filmmakers that I Imaginative, I'm glad you mentioned them, Pipaluk, because they really opened up my world in terms of seeing Indigenous film, but also feeling like it's possible to make things. Because my first time at Imaginative was when my Dunedin documentary played there about Inuit tattoos, and the opening night film there was Boy by Taika Waititi, and my mind was just blown that we could make movies like that. So, oh, and here's my other son, Anuba. So I really feel inspired and supported by the international Indigenous filmmaking community, and it's also just it's so exciting when we see the Arctic filmmakers together at festivals. It's always like we're long distance family, so it's nice to see everyone's face.
Thank you. What are the names of the boys?
This is Anuba, and the baby is Dauki.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So Naila, thank you, Aletea. We are coming. You are much more than an Angry Enoch. You have done lots of other films, and you are doing all the time. But Naila, you are one of the first Indigenous filmmakers who were interested to make all this new technology and using them like virtual reality, and tell us about a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I like I mentioned earlier, I'm just a bit of a nerd, and I grew up loving movies and you know, comic books and specifically horror movies was kind of what I was really into. And just making Slashback, which was about a group of girls, teenage girls who take on aliens. I got to spend a lot of time with teenagers, and it was really fun because it was really at that age when, you know, I was 13, 14, that I was really starting to, it's when you're kind of like testing out who you are and what you're interested in. And for me, it was you know, scary movies and sci-fi and that sort of thing. And so to be actually able to, you know, for me to be able to make those kinds of movies was always a dream. You know, to be making scary movies was something I wanted to do when I was a kid, and to be able to go back up and work with these kids on something like that was really wonderful. And certainly when it comes to virtual reality, first was what I kind of got into, and then from there augmented reality and other interactive technologies. That's again, it's just something I'm really passionate and excited about. I have a lot of fun in those spaces, and it actually kind of reminds me of when I was a teenager making movies for the first time with my friends, because there are no real rules, because we haven't quite figured out even what the technology is yet and how to use it. So you can be trying things and doing things that no one's ever tried before, and telling stories in a way that's different than a traditional narrative storytelling. So I'm working on a project now with the National Film Board and the Winnipeg Art Gallery on something that, you know, it's an augmented reality audio piece, but you know, the interaction comes with you engaging with the physical space. So it's a totally different kind of way about thinking of things, but it's really, really fun. And so for me, that's what it comes down to. I have a lot of fun doing interactive stuff. So it's kind of one of these hobbies that I've tried to figure out a way to make a career out of.
Thank you. We are going back because there is a very interesting point there of making, because our stories are a little bit different than the normal stories or Western stories. So we have, and maybe you were the first who created those realities, which is very good for our stories, because you have so many layers of the worlds and so many layers of the time and so many layers of the creators or some sort of.
Well, I thought what was so great about one of the ways we all connected originally was around the Sami Film Institute put together a
Arctic Chills.
Arctic Chills, and it was really about, and even then it was a lot of women that got together for that event as well, but there were some men as well, and it was people from across the Arctic specifically wanting to develop films that were scary, and it was this recognition that we grew up in this environment that's really harsh and scary, and a lot of our stories are cautionary tales, and then there's all of this. I mean, what was so wonderful when I was there to even hear about these amazing, the different, I mean, the stories from your cultures, and very different, but then also lots of shared, shared stories and themes, and it was a lot of, and then also shared experience, just cultural experience, a historical experience, so it was really great, and to hear, and I know that, I just love like hearing scary stories. I think not everybody does, but I think I get a lot of fun out of it, and I got the sense that you guys did too, which was really fun.
Yeah, we were many. There were 21 people who came here or was coming here to Kautokeino. 20 came, and Sardana, you were one of them. You came to Arctic Chills. So, Sardana, you are the person, the strong woman behind the Saha film miracle. You, a very small group of indigenous Saha people, you have made films which have been screened in the major big festivals all over the world, in North America, in Asia, in Europe, in everywhere, and you have been winning prizes. Tell what is your secret?
Hello, everybody again. Well, I'm a bit kind of, so my brain is not well these days because of this shit which is called COVID. But I want to try to define what's happened with Saha filmmaking, because right now, as I mentioned before, I'm writing about that in my thesis. And the thing is that this last decade especially was very successful for Saha filmmaking, because we took part at different film festivals, we won many prizes and so on, and it was more like a very good independent movement, which was coming mostly from independent filmmakers area. And nowadays, even our local government and also this Moscow side also kind of interested and are starting to support us. And you know that recently in 2020, our head of the government announced that they will be making a pitching with some fund, so financially support. It's just the beginning, because we didn't have that chance before. Do you remember I was kind of telling you problems that we cannot find any funding, so we are making our films by ourselves with very small budget. But now we have our own sort of fund, which belongs to the government, not to some other structures. And let's see what will be in future, because the amount of money is not that big. But of course, it is helpful, because now the kind of authorities understood that if they want to support Saha filmmaking, they have to have this kind of financial support first of all, but also develop different directions, not only author films, which are for festivals, but also these youth and kids films, and probably animation. And our weaker side is documentary films. We want to develop documentary films too, and find new names for debut films, and also try to make films based on our indigenous classical literature. You know that Saha literature is quite interesting field of culture, of art, and which is not yet known all over the world. And you know that it's coming from indigenous storytelling too, because if you watch some of our films, I want to say that the Lord Eagle and the Sun Above Me Never Sets, they both were based on our literature, on our authors. So it means that there is kind of very big potential in that side, and we have to investigate that area and try to make films based on our literature and on our own language. Yes,
Yeah,
and
there is this, your stories are excellent, and your budget is low, but still you are making very high quality films, which are winning in the Moscow Film Festival, in the Korean Film Festival, and so on. So something you are doing different and well.
You know that as I maybe during our meetings before, I mentioned that till 20th century, we didn't have a chance to make till the end of 20th century, we didn't have a chance to make our own films. That's the thing. And when it happened at the end of 20th century on 19th, of course, there was very strong wish among filmmakers to realize the ideas. It was sort of self-identification issue. It also some kind of probably post-colonial things, because the time has come to share our own stories. And it was a total freedom. This is one of kind of secret ingredients to my mind: total freedom, and no any censorship, because we were not depending on anybody's money. You know, we were totally free for creative things, and that's how it started. And I love, for example, when I'm writing my thesis, I have noticed that there is kind of different stages, not stages, but periods of development of Sakha filmmaking. The pioneers, those guys who started to make that, how they were working with very, very small money. They even call it kind of aesthetics of poverty, you know, no money, just some food, and they were just going to the forest or some areas or rural areas, and they shot films, short films, and different kinds of films. And then came the second era, the second period. I call it sort of Yakutian film booming, bursting, when digital cam, you know, that digital cam, of course, it's made the process of production of films
all over the Arctic.
Lower, and many young filmmakers occurred there, not professional ones, who were very ambitious because they watched Hollywood and they were just comparing that things and dreaming to make their own. This is kind of this social network, internet things, and so on. But nowadays, of course, the quantity turns into quality. We understand that, and nowadays I call that this is a period of a new wave, third period. And we call it new wave. So I'm defining it like a new wave, when we have new authors, which are kind of more kind of prepared and so on. And they were just doing films before, and now they're just making more quality films.
Very good. The fifth wave is this Arctic collaboration.
Yes,
Arctic
I'm dreaming. Yeah, this
Indigenous.
is the second step. The second step for sure, because we need these more industrial things, co-productions, to have these partners from all over the world to make a good co-production. Otherwise, for example, if there is some Arctic co-production, very strong one, I think it will be for sure noticed somewhere. And
yeah, but there is people, and Alethea, you can tell about your collaboration between Greenland and Nunavut.
You first, Pipalu.
Yeah, and it is really, and I really like that you said total freedom, because I really resonate to that, because we have been struggling again with a small budget here in Greenland, and how can we do films? And there are so many filmmakers that want to do films, and it is getting better, of course, but it's not like where we're supposed to be yet. And that's why in this freedom process of doing films, it is, for my part, was like when I met you in the Sapmi and you just supported my film, my first feature film, was okay. I don't need to do a film with only Greenlandic money or something, because I want to tell my own story. So I don't want to make a Danish film. So that opened up to, okay, how can I do it with Canada, like with Inuit of course we have a lot of history together of so forth, but like structure wise, money wise, how can we do this? And then it was this freedom feeling of, okay, we're just doing it with the ethnicity of our, like we are all Inuit. We are so close to, like it's 1.5 hours with a plane from here to Alethea's home. And like, so it's our, we have the same storytelling and it's very similar language. So by doing that, it's just been like an eye opener for us all to just say, okay, this will be an Inuit film, with Canadian money, of course, some Greenlandic money as well, and supporting of Arctic Indigenous Film Fund, and but it is very, yeah, it's opened up some new doors. So I can be much more free in my work because I'm not so independent on the Greenlandic structure that I've been for many years, and have to work and work and work just to do something. But here is something that, if it's going to work, and it will, of course it will, then this is a new way of doing it. And I'm just like really glad that Alethea and Stacy for Red Marrow want to do this with me, because it's not been done before. And
Are you saying, people, look, you are free to make totally different kind of stories and films than
it's what?
nobody? Totally different kind of stories and films.
Not different stories, just my own story, like in an international scale. Like my story is from my heart, and I'm Inuk, and I'm from Greenland, and I just want to have the opportunity to do my story with a budget that is needed to get the story out to the world. And we couldn't do that before. Of course, my first film was doing a lot of festivals all over the world, but it was because I really wanted it to, and did all the work. But you can only do that once. Like otherwise, it's so hard. So you need the support. You need this money-wise support. You need the support of us being independent filmmakers wanted to make our stories. What the
Yes.
story is just me want to do this little story of yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you are bringing something new to the film world
I hope
globally.
so.
Yeah,
I
I know that. What about Alethea? How it was to work? How people who has been helping you? And
It's really exciting. It's been years in the making, our collaboration. I mean, obviously People Look's been working on the script for a long time, but also just in terms of working together as with Stacy and I as producers on People Look's project. We met, what year was it? People Look, it was like 2007 or 8 or something. I can't remember, years ago now. And we decided back then that we want to work together. And we just had to find a way. And when we realized that the funding structures in Canada made it impossible to work with our fellow Inuk who lives closer to us than all of the Canadian funding agencies in Ottawa and Toronto, that are actually farther away from us than our own people in Greenland. We just decided to not accept no for an answer. And so we've been pushing for years through various government agencies to allow us to work together, because we're one people. And People Look's story is so beautiful and funny, and it just feels so close to home, and it feels like our story too. So, we just think it doesn't make sense that we can't work together at a budget level that makes that film possible. And small budget films are doable. People have proved it with her first feature, but not every story can be a small budget film. Some stories need bigger budgets to be told. This is one of them. And so, you know, it's taken time, and we're still working through different limitations, or removing limitations, I guess. So, you know, there's all kinds of rules, like here, out of the producer, director, and the writer, 2 out of 3 have to be Canadian. And so because Pipaluc's not Canadian, you know, we didn't qualify, but we've spoken to the Canada Media Fund and Telefilm Canada and the regulatory body of CAVCO and the CRTC, which is the TV and radio regulatory body nationally, and our own Nunavut Film. And so we've talked to every single partner repeatedly in Canada about how they can undo those barriers so that we can work within our own people and support each other. And I think that's exciting work. It can be frustrating at times. It's taken a long time, but I think we're really almost there. And you know, I think the Arctic Film Fund has really drawn attention to the connections we have across the Arctic peoples and how much it makes sense to work together on different projects. So I'm really grateful to that. And I think you got different funding agencies and governments excited about the idea, and that's helped to be able to helped our project to be able to show that there's interest between our peoples to work together. And, you know, different jurisdictions have varying levels of infrastructure and financial support. It's so interesting to hear about Sardana's work developing their industry in such a conscious way, really planning how to develop and grow their industry. And, you know, different, you know, our area has been doing not exactly the same, but similar work, trying to grow our industry, trying to grow our crews. Nyla had a huge training component on Slashback. There were so many Inuit trainees in different positions. So it's amazing to be able to look over to Greenland, and there's so much incredible acting talent because of the strong theater tradition there, which Pipaluc's also has a lot of experience in. We have less deep acting knowledge in Iqaluit anyway. Obviously, Igloolik with Zach Rice's films is very different. They've got a long history of acting now, but that doesn't exist out of Igloolik as much. But we've got a strong documentary tradition here, and you know, I think we share storytelling styles and sense of humor, and you know, Pipaluc's got the storytelling and the acting chops, and we've got the funding and industry development that is further along here in Nunavut. So it just makes sense to work together, and we just keep picking away at the things that stand in our way until we can make it happen. And I feel like we're very close to being funded and going into production. We're there, and we're so ready.
Very good. That's very good. So Anna-Laila, there is now, as we can hear, there is this the need for the Arctic film funding, and to give the opportunities and to give the freedom and give to me as an economist, it's also work and livelihood and bread in the table and so on.
Yeah, it's so interesting to listen to all of you, even though we have known each other for so many years already, and we are very familiar with your work, and we have been working together. And but it's always so nice to hear your perspectives, and also to think about you know, we are in such different parts of the world, but everyone on each of our sides, we are like working really hard to break down the colonial structures that are preventing us from telling our stories. And so big differences when it comes to the support system in each country. Like, for example, in Canada, you are much more advanced, as you also, Alitha, said that, for example, the Indigenous Screen Office, who got, how much was it? 40 million Canadian dollars over 3 years. And it's like, sounds like a dream to us here in the Nordic countries, even though we have some support here already to the Sami Film Institute, and also the big differences that are in each area. And so, and that's why we think that building the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund, which can be a strong fund that can support Arctic Indigenous stories from wherever, in addition to the national funding, which is available, because it's so different how much support Indigenous story or filmmakers are getting in each of our home areas. And I think we have such an important film and media and storytelling today in the time we all are living in, and also in the future. It has such a big impact, yeah, on both our futures and also thinking about where the world is going with climate change. And in the Arctic, we are the ones who are really facing these changes, and that our stories, they do matter and they are relevant in this in the future, and we can inspire the world with every story we are telling, no matter if it is about, doesn't have to be about climate change, but all the stories we are telling, they are testimonies of our Arctic Indigenous lives today, and it's a really, really important work all of you are doing in your film work. So yeah.
Thank you. Yes, the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund is giving the opportunities to our filmmakers to have a safe place to make our own stories, because now when we are depending on our national funding or whatever funding, it is so many films which are not made. There are so many films which never made. So Naila, I love your work. You are such a you are making your own skiing track all the time to the snow. Not only that, you have done this like new technology and so on, but I have been meeting you after the Arctic chills. You were here in Kautokeino. After that, we met in Toronto, in Montreal, in Berlin, in Cannes, and everywhere you were promoting your film, finding the financiers, distributors, and you are coming from up in the north, and you were equal there with other people. And I was thinking, that's the way we should do. That's the way we should go all over the world and sell. And you did sell your Slashback, this alien film. And tell about your next project. This alien film, Slashback, is coming now out, maybe premiere maybe there in Pipalux Film Festival.
Yeah.
In Greenland.
Hopefully. And thank you for saying that. First of all, I always feel like such a kid at these things, and I never, feel like I know what I'm talking about. But I certainly was very passionately trying to get this movie made. It's not done yet. I'm recording some ADR tonight. And so it's kind of been this crazy sprint that's turned into like a year, of course, as these things do, but the pandemic's really extended post and all of this stuff. So my body is like recognizing that we're like to the end and starting to fall apart. But I do have other projects that I'm really ready to go. So once this is done, I think that it'll be nice to take a break, but then also to kind of think about some other projects. And certainly this, this past year, given the pandemic, but also just this kind of global reckoning about the issues of white supremacy that just exist in all of our daily lives, and how that affects Indigenous filmmakers and people of color and that sort of thing. And for me, as someone who I like horror movies, and in a lot of scary stories is using metaphor, and for me, I was kind of thinking about the ethics of kind of drawing from either my community's trauma or my own personal trauma as a form of entertainment, and going around and selling these projects, but that in itself was kind of processing that and how I felt about it and the anxieties that come with that. I think there was kind of an interesting script that kind of came out of it, and I think that that's just where for me these projects are helpful for me, because it's a way for me just to process how I'm feeling about things, and this project is even more personal than the last one, I think, but for the character, it really is like these anxieties and pressures that you can kind of feel, and I should say that it's also about recognizing the privileges that I have, and the proximity to whiteness that I've experienced, what that has brought to me, and I think that when you talk about me at festivals and being able to fit in and stuff like that, I mean, that is, I think, a reflection of that proximity to whiteness that might make me more comfortable in those situations. And I'm zooming in from Toronto. I've lived in this city since I was 17 when I went to film school here. So there's and I'm really close to the imaginative community that since I was really young has connected me with. I mean, it's mostly First Nations people around me here, but I've also got a group of Inuit women now that we get together and hang out, because we also just recognize that we need that too.
But you are there in the point of the everything. Whose stories we are telling? Who can tell our stories? What is our mandate, and what is our mandate? We have this discussion now in Norway, that if somebody is telling our story and we are saying no, they are not talking why we are saying no, but they are saying, are we allowed to say no? We are not even talking that we are allowed to tell our stories, but they are asking why we are allowed to say no. You don't say no.
I think that's so helpful. I mean, having people like Dennis Goulet and Jesse Wente as people I can call up and go for a walk with if I need to, it does, being around people that are fighting for those and what you mentioned, Sardana, about the control. It's just this, and it doesn't mean, I mean, with Slashback, because I had non-Indigenous producers on my project, it was important for me, and they understood why, that I have in my contract 100% creative control. And it was just one of these things. It's not like I would say, if we would be disagreeing on something, I would be saying, oh, well, it doesn't really matter because I've got 100, but I would be thinking it. And just that knowledge for me, that if it came down to it, I could say, well, this is how I feel about it. And as the person with 100% creative control, this is how it's going to be. And I think that that's I wouldn't have necessarily even known to ask for that if it wasn't for people like Dennis Goulet or Alethea, who are, you know, really championing that, and it really happening around me.
What do you say, Alethea? Who's telling our stories?
Well, man, when I first started in this industry, it was definitely not Inuit telling, you know, our stories on the whole. I mean, if Zach is always an exception.
Zacharias Kuno,
yeah, has always been telling his community's own stories, but he's been an outlier. You know, everybody else telling Inuit stories were non-Inuit until really not that long ago. And so, you know, when I started out, I was an assistant editor for a few years, and entirely on non-Inuit directed films. And, you know, I worked with various filmmakers, all older white men, and it you know, it gave me a foot in the door. It gave me some credits on films so that I could be taken seriously when I was trying to pitch for funding to make my own films. And it took a long time for people to believe that I was capable of doing that. And things have really changed. And it's just so exciting to be able to see other filmmakers coming up, and you know, it's still not equal ground with non-Inuit here, but it's a little bit easier. And you know, I think in this country, in Canada, there's a reckoning happening. There's a recognition of you know, the value of Indigenous voices, and in the industry, I think people are seeing not only is it important to have diversity in the industry, but they're realizing it's like, oh, there's a whole wealth of different kinds of storytelling that's fresh and new to the Western world. And so it's like an exciting, because, you know, I feel like the industry got kind of tired and boring and was doing the same thing over and over again. And so all these fresh new voices from racialized people are coming in, and so it's like the industry is seeing that there's financial value in supporting these voices too, because there's fresh and different stuff to be seen. I think streamers like Netflix have also played a huge role in that, because we're able to watch international films, and so North Americans that have most of the industry money across the world and distribution across the world are seeing more international content as well, and that's opening people's minds to different kinds of storytelling as well. So it's a really exciting time. And you know, I think Indigenous stories are you know, with success of people like Taika Waititi, people are seeing that Indigenous stories can also be bankable. And so there's this explosion happening, and I feel like there's going to be like 5 more huge name, you know, where you see gossip about them in Playback magazine and People magazine, like we're seeing about Taika lately. There's going to be, you know, Nyla's the next one, and Pipaluk's the next one. It's really exciting to watch, and to see all this happening and to play a part in it.
Yeah, it is. And we could see when the Disney Animation made a big cooperation with the Sami people with Frozen 2. It wasn't because we had a very good story, or it was because we had a very good story and there were money running in when you make this story. But they made it with Sami people, and Anne-Laila was with that project. But Sardana, you are like creating this industry, and you have a big name now all around the world. What is the next positive thing which is coming?
Not such a big name, honestly. Just
yes,
maybe
you are.
Okay. So next steps, you mean? So this
yes.
is also what I'm thinking right now to write about. So now the thing that as I mentioned before, all the movements came from this, just the community of filmmakers. Now we are heard, so seen. Now we have sort of support from locals. But what is the next step? Yeah, this is kind of very interesting thing for me. I'm always thinking about that. Of course, we need to, there's kind of small community of filmmakers here. And all the time I'm telling to my colleagues that we need to find new names. We have to grow up these youngsters who will be after us, following us. We need that. And probably I will be organizing, so I'm dreaming to have this sort of short film festival here for these young names to be occurred. This is for more promotional and for this kind of generation issues. But as for Sakha films, for next step for Sakha films, yes, there are some good projects which will be realized soon. First of all is Lyuba Borisova's project, who the female director who made this The Sun Above Me Never Sets. She's now getting into production of second film, which is in English. I don't know, they didn't give yet the English variant of the name, but it will be called Don't Bury Me Without Ivan. So sort of that. It's totally her own idea. And the script was written with support of a script writer from Moscow, to my mind. And they support, the thing is that Sakha Film, where we work now with Lyuba, they applied for this their bigger Moscow film fund for inside of Ministry of Culture, and they got the support. This is first time. It's also historical thing. But the thing is that they applied the project with Moscowite side. Only if you have this co-producer from Moscow, you can be supported, which is
but
quite
there is, again, you are not free.
Yeah, it's not that good, because when Lyuba returned, she said that Sardana, it was not that difficult process at all to teach it to. But the thing is that why we should do that with other, for example, bigger productions, kind of.
It's the money which
to
is
us. Yeah, it's but it's the beginning. So let's say maybe in future, if this project will be successful, maybe there will be more freedom for us to apply ourselves and get funding. So let's see. This is one of the things. And
and I like it, your films in Sakha, you are making it in the Sakha language. You are making it your native language. And your people look, your film also, your films are in the Greenlandic, all of the films. And why it's so important? Why it is so important?
Of course, it's very important. It's not a question why, because it's our films. How can we make our films not on our native language? We have to make, and it also for our generation, younger people who are just now watching this all the content of YouTube, which is not good in one side, because nowadays I noticed that in rural areas, children are not speaking Sakha language; they're speaking Russian or even English because of YouTube. Nothing there, no any content for kids. This is also kind of painful moments in this for the future of these indigenous people all over the world, to my mind. Yes, and I'm very interested to know how you could make this possible with this Disney to make hold the film in Sami language. So you need to share this experience with other indigenous communities, sure, because this is a next step which we have to think about, all of us. And also I'm myself now planning to make a film together with Eduard Novikov, probably. So let's see. He has very nice project which is in development now. They have finished the script. I promise you to send that in English, but it's not yet translated. And let's see, maybe we will try to find some co-producers from our network, from Canada or from Sami area. Let's see.
We will. It is one of our Arctic Indigenous late films now. And so people look, and Aleta, your language, the Inuktitut, or I don't know, how do you call it? But it's very important. I was very surprised when I was in Greenland that all of you people are speaking your language there, which is not the case in Sapmi. we are speaking Finnish, Swedish, Norwegian. Only places like Kautokeino we are speaking Sami. So how do you see the language and stories important in your work?
Yeah, I don't know, like for me, because we have Greenlandic as a first language, and it's been that for many years, of course, with the G50s and 60s, where there's really like structural colonialism, then there is a lot of, like, we were separating Danish and Greenlandic classes, but the language has always been very strong here in Greenland because it has been written, because it has been spoken. So it's really like, it is our first language here in Greenland, and Greenlandic and like Inuit. And so for me, it's not like strange that my film is in Greenlandic, and every like people that there's cast for the film is their first language is Greenlandic, so it's much easier for them to actually speak Greenlandic when they or Kalaallisut when they are when we are making the film. But I think it's important because I think, again, as like for the next generation, for the kids, for something for them to see, and people can reflect and see themselves in our films, like locally and like in Inuit as well. Like for that's why me and Alethea can make it, because it will be so understand in
The same language you are
yeah,
speaking.
the same language and the humor in it as well. But I think it's gonna be in Greenlandic, but again, it will be in English. Like, this is the first time where, because it's a story that happens in Greenland, but it happens in Iceland as well and in Canada. So it's but the main characters are Greenlandic, of course, and it's just it's just when I'm thinking it in Greenlandic, so I cannot see that it could be something else.
What about Anne-Laila? We can think something else because we are struggling with the language, and to us it's very important that all our films are in Sami language.
Yes, and it's one of the like foundations for the establishment of the Sami Film Institute is to support Sami language films. So if we give grants to projects, we always, if there is dialogue, it should be Sami dialogue. So it's a really important requirement for the funding we are giving. And of course, as all of you are saying, also that our children are also like children of the digital age and YouTube and everything, and when they cannot recognize themselves in those windows and those platforms, or they cannot hear their own language, it's all, you know, the invisibility and the assimilation somehow is continuing in the system, in the way that our stories and languages are silenced in the new world we are all living in. So yeah.
We're in the end. I'm not asking, we didn't have time to talk about challenges. And I'm not the challenges people. So could we go around and you can tell what is the positive things which are coming the next year in your film community, in your areas? Positive only. Naila, can you start?
Oh gosh. I think Oh, I think there's lots of positive things that are happening, especially these conversations as we're, as we said, we've known each other for a while, and we've been, and certainly having these conversations about the importance of representation and authentic representation, it coming from the community. But now all of a sudden, it's like even people from outside of our community are recognizing that too, and they're using the same language. And I remember, Alethea, a few years ago, you had at a speech at TIFF, you were introducing people to the term BIPOC, and you're like, this is something that you guys should know, and it's going to be something that you're going to be hearing more. And I remember at the time, it was like the first time I'd heard it, and now it's like, you meet with, there's producers in LA, and they are all like, oh yeah, we've got to find BIPOC filmmakers. And it's actually interesting because of BIPOC, it's in the States, I don't think they really have the same kind of conversations about their colonial history or the impacts on Indigenous people in the States. But now, because of this term, and because people are recognizing that there's a need for underrepresented voices to have a space, people are kind of searching out now for the Indigenous people, because like they've got to find people. And there's Indigenous execs now at Netflix, at Paramount, and it's like, this is it. Once there's representation at these different institutions, and that's why I felt it was so great. We had Adam Garnett-Jones at Telefilm. He's now at APTN, which I think is really fantastic, which is our Indigenous broadcaster. And because it's like, once we have amazing Indigenous people within these institutions, it makes it so much easier for us to now have these go into these institutions and be comfortable and have these conversations, because it's easier, at least for me, to be able to communicate with other Indigenous people. There's just a shared, even if they're from a different community. So I think that's something that is a really positive change.
Thank you. What about Sardana? What is the most exciting and positive thing which is coming?
You know that last year was a pandemic year, so that's why no any new releases were at local cinemas. And of course, all filmmakers were upset because they were losing time and money. No any releases. Only 3 films were on the screen last year, 2020. But this time in 21, it was like a marathon from January. New releases every month. It's incredible, every month, because those films which are kept in 2020, they just now released. But you know that our market is very small. We are just only screening films in our local cinemas in Yakutsk, and several ones in kind of suburbs of Yakutsk and central part of Yakutia. But there were 2 good cases, positive cases. One, this Dmitry Davidov's 3rd film, Scarecrow, what was released with support of Russian distributors all over Russia. So I cannot say that it was very wide release, but it was sort of wide, because more than as it was before here in Yakutia. So, and it was quite successful to my mind for this kind of art house or author film. But and also this recently there was a release of film Itchy. Itchy means like a spirit, also with support of a Russian distributor. It was a genre horror film. So, and of course, these are kind of 2 good examples, 2 good positive kind of examples for our filmmakers to go further, to work further, And maybe in future there will some releases abroad, which I'm also dreaming.
Yes, there will be. And what about Alethea? What is the good news in Nunavut?
Well, for us, I think what's really exciting me right now is seeing some new production companies starting up. Nadia Mike is opening her company Umik Media, and there's a lot of kids content being developed in our language, and I think the launching of 2 Inuit language TV channels at this time is also a really exciting thing. Uvagut TV has launched on the Shaw satellite system here in Canada. I'm part of the board for Inuit TV, which will be launching this summer on the Bell satellite service here nationally as well. And so we're suddenly going to have an avenue for Inuit to show their films to our own people in our country, which has been really hard. Making films for years and always struggling to get my film seen by my own people, even though my films travel all over the world in different festivals. Showing them in our own communities is really hard, and we spent a lot of money. We raised and spent a lot of money to bring the Grizzlies movie to different Inuit communities, and now people are just going to be able to, because we don't have good internet here, and probably won't for some time. It's it's hard to have our own work shown in small communities that are really spread across the Arctic. So having a TV channel that doesn't use up all your internet is going to be amazing, and I think it's going to inspire a lot of new filmmakers, because they'll see there's a point to making a film, because your own family and community will be able to see it. And so I think there will be a lot of new small budget short films in the next couple of years, and that will grow into new production companies that brings revenue into communities that don't have a lot of jobs, that take stories from communities that don't get heard very much, and bring them out to the rest of Inuit lands, but also nationally and internationally. So I think that having TV channels is going to be an engine for spawning all kinds of new filmmakers and production companies in Inuit regions. So and we look forward to getting content from other Arctic Indigenous film communities as well, and versioning them into our language so that they can be seen in our communities, because we do have so many shared experiences.
Thank you. Lots of good news there. And the people in Greenland, you have been very busy in this, at least in this year. There has been many filmmakers, and you have been making own films and so on. Tell about the good news from Greenland.
Yeah. Like, the good news is that we still, we have the film workshop where kids are and youth and coming filmmakers is developing films there already. They have an edit room, they have gear to go out and make films. And it's really running now, where we have there are 2 films that we screened last year on Nuuk International Film Festival, short films that actually you can see them develop in the film workshop. So that is very positive. That is working to have that platform where people can be creative and they actually have high quality equipment to do their stuff. So I'm very excited to see there is a short films I haven't heard about in our festival, because I'm running the festival. It's Nuuk International Film Festival, and it's our 5th year this year. So we see a lot of new contents that I didn't know about, because I've been so busy. So I haven't talked to so many. So it's just nice that people really are making films, and they're actually just not calling me up, and it's actually been they're submitting their work. They know the process now, how to do it. They want to be in a festival. They know that they want a platform for their work, and it has to be shown and in a right way, and not just them just trying to struggle to how to get their work out. But I think what is really positive on our note is that we started Polorama, which is a production service company. And with that, I have my partner, Emil Pilnar. We wanted to service these international productions. We know they are coming, they're coming and telling the stories, but how can we be a part, much bigger part in the crew wise so we can actually have people that can have A functions when we are doing maybe my next film or others film, right? So already we have 3 big international, 2 Netflix film and one big Danish broadcasting where we actually have some A function in the crew wise. So people are really making films now, seeing how it is. And so when we are ready for the next film that is made, then we actually can have a really skilled Greenlandic crew as well as in the storytelling as well. So I think that is really interesting, and people are supporting us. They want to work with us, and new people are coming into the company and wanna and have new functions that haven't like doing a AD, even though that she's an actor, but she's really good at structure. So then she just really now she's running the DR, the big Danish broadcasting, and they're filming now. So like we are having a lot bigger voice as well. And of course now Emil, my partner in the company, is coming tomorrow. So we're going to work and how can we influence our government as well on what is the next step of the support of not the stories that are coming in, but like us to be a part of the story and be the story as well.
Yeah.
So we are still hoping for, of course, the Film Institute, inspired by you. And we have a new government that is really good because they are supportive of a film institute. They are supportive of bigger funds for an art fund and a film fund. So I think it is really a really good time now to do our film as well, because and then we have like Malik Kleist, which like in horror film, like he was the blockbuster like 10 years ago, and now he's making a sequel, and it's going to release in August. So like everyone is waiting for that film. So they have been waiting for 10 years. So it's really and Mark as well. You had an Arctic Chills. He actually did a sequel as well for like this really crazy budget, and he just released it. It's on Vimeo now, and he just like so there is a lot of movement, and when we are doing the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund, then we just need a lot of money in that, and people have to support the fund. They need to put money in that so we can apply to have this kind of work, and we can inspire the youth to actually put in an application for them to like grow, and we can do it ourselves. Like, and if we see the Heritage Fund now with in Canada would have 40 million Canadian to support Indigenous filmmakers and art, then why not an Arctic Indigenous Film Fund as well? That so we can have a structural film with Indigenous contents, Indigenous crew, Indigenous filmmakers, and really own our project ourselves.
Thank you. That was very good, positive. But very, very shortly, Anna-Laila, what is the positive in our Sami land?
Very shortly, okay. Well, we are standing at a crossroad in Sami now. And in the coming years, 2022, 23, 24, 25, there will be a number of new feature films by Sami directors and Sami filmmakers. And also we have a collaboration with the Norwegian broadcaster, and there are drama series coming both for adults and for children and youth. So it's the biggest drama movement ever in the Sami film history. So yeah, it's big changes also here, and I think that the lack of support so many of us are like fighting for, it's also a really strong creative powerhouse to just force this change in the system. They can't ignore our award-winning films and our talents and our amazing stories. So that change is coming now really, really strongly. Yeah.
Thank you. And as Sardana said, that we have to tell how we did the Disney and Frozen 2 together with Disney. Anne-Laila is going to Cannes, making a presentation together with the Disney producer.
Yeah, 11th of July it will be. It's an online panel, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. So
Great.
I'm thanking you, all of the panelists and the audience on our online studio. And like people have said, by supporting Arctic Indigenous Film Fund, you are making a difference. And but as you heard, we are on our way now, all over the Arctic, in the Russia, in Nunavut, in Greenland, here in Sapmi, in Alaska. We are going now. Nothing can stop us, but we need support. We need more support, and there will be new support, and there will be exciting new stories. There will be new exciting virtual reality films, 360-degree films. There will be all sort of new things which nobody has seen ever before. Thank you. And this will be this, we have been recording this, and this will be in our International Sami Film Institute web page and in our Facebook page on the recorded version.
And
Thank
also
you.
in YouTube. Yeah.
In YouTube. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Should we go?
No. Hey, are you like? What is? Can you travel into the festival?
We
Is it
can take this talk later.
Oh, okay.
we don't have to edit so much.
Oh, okay. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oi.